Welcome in the ring. Let's fight. Wherever you're joining us from this evening, let's fight. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Whatever it is you did this weekend, hope you did it well. Hope you did it safely and legally. Guys, we got so much information to share with you this evening. We want you guys to share this live stream as quickly as possible. Settle down, get your popcorn and your cokes, people. Get your popcorn and your coke. So much to discuss this evening with each and every one of you, and we love that you could join us. Hope you guys have been reinvigorated by a restful weekend. Those of you who are home watching us on your smart television, your big TV on your wall, and so on. Good to see you guys. Yes, you with the remote in your hands. Who asking me? Yes, you. Good to see you on your couch. Good to see you relaxing. Those of you still on the job who are watching us, peeping us while you're working for the man. Good to have each and every one of you guys. Really hope you guys have had a good weekend. We've had a good weekend as well. We've had a good day, and we are ready with the hot topics, guys. We're not going to wait. We have with us this evening the leader of the opposition from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Right Honorable Dr. Friday. And he is going to be sharing some information with us about what's happening at his end, the Right Honorable Dr. Godwin Friday. And you guys will see that, in so many ways, Guyana is so similar. It is so very similar to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And he's going to be on a little later in our program. Just after we get through our hot topics, guys, I am ready to go. I am so ready to go. Bigly, guys. It's Pashway Monday, and Dr. Friday is going to be throwing some punches this evening. Again, we are so grateful to have each and every one of you. Kumari Paude. I haven't seen that person on our program before. Kumari Paude, come on down. Welcome in the ring. Guys, a little line there is from The Price is Right. If you guys know your game show, or your game shows rather, that is from The Price is Right. Come on down, Patricia Asana. Good to see each and every one of you. Good to see Joyce Lynn and Melissa Monroe and Gladstone and Gloria Fraser and Pinky Kirk. Good to see Oren Wellington. Each and every one of you guys, how have you been? I hope you all have been training. We got to fight the trenches. We got to fight the jagabats, guys. Don't let nobody steal your joy and your happiness. That is solely dependent on you, not your circumstance, guys. And I'm happy to have each and every one of you with us here. Andrew McDonald and Denise Booker, Debbie Pitt, Lisa and Damian James, who's joining us on YouTube. He's in the suburbs. I know folks like Catherine Braffett and Roxanne and Lorna Kerr and the other folks. They're in the ghetto. They're joining us on Facebook. Guys, I really want you to share this live stream this evening. So much information to share with you guys. Is a Pashway in the PPP. Pashway or Pushway. As a friend of mine says, pushway in the PPP. Lots of information to discuss with you. I am ready to go. You see, if you turn up late, you're going to miss some important things. If you turn up late, you're going to miss some important things. Good to see Bernadette James and Shelley Beckles, Maxie and Wilson Jason, Blessed Child, is it Andrew Cuthbert and Catherine Braffett, Marlon King. Marlon King is always on Twitter. I hope it's the right Marlon. And Candice Leach, Kim Walker, Terrence Bowman, joining us from the suburbs, YouTube. Good to see you there, Terrence, and those guys who are joining us on Twitter as well. Give us a retweet there. Those of you who are joining us on Facebook, let us know where you're joining us from. I want Dr. Friday to know where you're joining us from and who's listening to him this evening. We're so privileged to have Dr. Friday joining us in a couple of minutes, Dr. Godwin Friday. And again, he is the opposition leader there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and they got lots of things happening there on the ground. So if you guys know a friend, you have a colleague, if you have a Guyanese compatriot in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, send them the link. And those of you guys, we tell you this, if you ever have challenges getting us on Facebook, we stream directly to YouTube as well, and you can search for Sherrod Avery Duncan on YouTube. Subscribe, you'll get the notifications whenever we come on live. And so we know that lots of you guys are fighting on Facebook ever so often, and sometimes you are locked out of your profiles, because the Jagabat Facebook, the Jagabats at Facebook headquarters don't understand the struggle. And sometimes you're locked out of your profiles. But we want you guys to know that you can get us as well on YouTube, and you can get us as well on Twitter. So if you got problems with YouTube and they're fighting you two guys, you can get us as well on Twitter. Guys, I am ready to go. I want to lie to you. I'm ready to go with the hot topics. It's quite a few things to get through this evening, guys. It's confusion powder. This Pashway Monday, folks, is confusion powder. Let me walk you through some of the things that happened just today, and some of them we brought with us over the weekend. Confusion powder, folks. Confusion powder. Now, we saw this story over the weekend. Apparently, there's a police commissioner or police WhatsApp group. And apparently, acting police commissioner Nigel Hoppy posted some information in the wrong group. Apparently, the question was posed that reporters here in Guyana, for those people who are watching us, around the world or perhaps new to the show, here in Guyana, would have asked the acting police commissioner about this sum of money that was put up as a reward for information that leads to the capture of the perpetrators in that heinous killing of the Henry boys and Haresh Singh. It was $3 million. And so reporters got information, credible sources told them that there was monies missing from that sum. And the question was posed to the police commissioner acting, Nigel Hoppy. And Mr. Hoppy apparently posted a response he wanted to send to whoever, perhaps his PR department, to do not respond to these requests for information about these sums of money. Got sent to the wrong WhatsApp group, and it was sent to the WhatsApp group of the reporters. We said, don't answer, don't respond. All right? And I think something else was said there, and the reporters got the impression as though money was missing, and perhaps they had additional information to confirm their suspicion that monies were missing from this reward sum. In addition to that, folks, there is $300 million currently missing from the Guyana police force. Right? So I saw a report as we were coming on that suggests Mr. Hoppy has said while the reporters are claiming that monies are missing from the Guyana police force, that this is unfounded. He said this is unfounded. So, folks, we are still watching at this story to see what is going to be the outcome. The reporters there saying that, from the inference, money is missing, and from whatever other information they have been able to gather from the credible sources, monies from this reward sum of $3 million missing from the Guyana police force. Right? Money's missing. And Hoppy says this is unfounded. It is unfounded. I think he's right. I think they're finding it. I think you're right. So, folks, as you share the live stream, as you come on, Catherine and Marlene and Terence and Zoan and Sandrine and Lisa, Rowena, Marsha, Anthony Stepping Stone, Gladstone Matthews, and Jazzy, Janice, and all you other folks, Hazel Prince and Shelly D. Ridder. As you guys come on, share the live stream. As we're on missing folks, look who turn up there now, Candace, Narayan in the house. Champion fighter, Candace is in the house. Good to see you all there. Anika Fraser, Samantha Jilts, and Alison Richards. Good to see each and every one of you guys talking about Mrs. Y'all distracting me, Duncan. Hold of focus. Hold of focus. Talking about missing, guys. Talking about missing. So the people went to court today. In this case, where they have held these guys for the murder of Haresh Singh, including Gladstone Henry, relative of Joel and Isaiah Henry. Right? So they turn up in court, right, Flash and Jackie and Patricia and Cheryl. They turn up in court only to find out that the case file missing. The police force in Guyana has become, since this new administration, these Jagabats, it has become the Bermuda Triangle. Anything that passed close by goes missing. Anything that passed close by the Guyana police force these days go missing. So money missing, the file, the case jacket. for Haresh Singh, gone missing. So we are told that this matter has been now adjourned until July 19 because the case jacket and the file gone missing. And so the people turn up at Blairmont Magistrate Court only to be given another day. This is Guyana. We say that is the exemption clause we get. This is Guyana. And we don't know, perhaps in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you all got that too. You know, so many mysterious things happen under the Gonzales regime. You know, you said this is St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Perhaps people say it in Barbados. This is Barbados. Anything happens. But we feel that in we bones, people, when we say it here in Guyana, the Cooperative Oil Producing Republic. This is Guyana. nothing strange. So this is one of the most important cases that has the nation on a razor's edge. A razor's edge. And the case and the file jacket got missing. Right? And the police want us to believe that they are serious about the prosecution of this matter. The case jacket and file gone missing, ladies and gentlemen. I hasten on. Signs of the times. Signs of the times. Just this morning, GRA enforcement officers stabbed to death, allegedly by landlady's son. Folks, if you find a good landlord, God bless you. And count your blessings twice. If you find a good landlord, and one of the things we know that contributes to this is because we don't have very strong laws as it concerns occupancy, landlord and tenancy agreement. And so there was some altercation between the landlord and this young man, and he would have lost his life very, very tragically as he had an altercation with the landlord's son. There was, I think he was on the verge of moving out. On the verge of moving out. Signs of the times, folks. Signs of the times. Assistant Superintendent Mahindra not passes. This was over the weekend, and we have not been told thus far what was the reason for his demise. We just know that he had a brief illness, according to the reports, and he has transitioned this life. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all the families of the dearly departed. Yep, signs of the times, folks. And then some people just gave up. Over the weekend, this guy missing too. This guy missing. Reports are that he parked his motorcycle on the Demerara Harbor Bridge. This is, for those of you watching new to the show, I know lots of people are tuning in from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This is boasted as the longest floating bridge in the world, the Demerara Harbor Bridge. He parked his motorcycle and just jumped overboard. Signs of the times. Some folks, some reports suggest that he has a mental illness. I saw one report of that nature, but for the most part, seemed to be an ordinary citizen, you know, just went and parked his motorcycle on the Demerara Harbor Bridge and just jumped overboard. Missing. Missing. Like Haresh Singh case file, like the Mahindra police force. Missing. Also missing, folks. At Hope, Seawall, a 10-year-old is believed to be drowned just over the weekend. And we haven't seen any reports to suggest that his body would have turned up or he would have turned up alive. So he's missing too. Missing, folks. This next story, you will forget it. You will forget it. As quickly as I tell you, you will forget it. You will forget it. I am just highlighting this next story to show you the hypocrisy sometimes in local media. The hypocrisy we see sometimes in the local media in Guyana. Folks, you know, soon you have a resignation from the Alliance for Change, the party that I'm a member and I support, and which I think is the best party, AFC. No slight to my colleagues there in the APNU PNC. No slight to them at all. But I bat in for my side. But that being said, you know, soon somebody leaves AFC. Soon as somebody leaves PNC, it's in every paper. Whether it's a cook, it's a cleaner, it's a handyman, it's in every paper, right? Well, you know, in the last election, you had a lot of new parties, little parties. TNM was one, right? Well, Joshua Kana ain't having it. TNM, the new movement. Joshua Kanai said up to a lot of old tricks. I sure y'all know who Joshua Kanai, but I'm just showing y'all the hypocrisy, because you don't see this splashed across all the newspaper or all of the online media, right? I barely saw this tucked in, I think, Starbuck News on the back page, that Kanai has gone from the TNM, from the new movement, he gone to an old party now. He gone to the URP, the United Republican Party, right? And based on the colors that Kanai wear, and I think that's the landing place. I think he can move on from there. Based on Kanai colors, right? Crosses, people, crosses. You know, crosses. We say, hey, you that good. What crosses is this? Right? Joshua run out. Right? Y'all want to see crosses? Watch crosses now. Policeman robbed of his bicycle in Sporwing Drive, South Rambell. Folks, the Guyana police force is unbelievable. Y'all think it's, y'all look at the rap? Y'all think it's the only crime going up by y'all? Policeman in trouble too. Policeman robbed of his bicycle, of his cycle in Sporwing Drive. Yep. And the question is, if the police aren't safe from the criminals, who's safe? If the police, Absol and Allison Richards, Candace, Alexis Arthur, Marla, Kieran Pandey, Marla, if the police aren't safe from the bandits, how are you faring, Claudette Harry? I thought it was Claudette Singh. How are you faring, Claudine? Simon Pollard, how are you faring? Onika Fraser, how are you faring? Emily Durant, how are you faring? If police getting robbed, what happened to the rest of us? Hastening on, folks, hastening on, because it's pocketory now. Pocketory. Pashway, the PPP. Folks, y'all share the live stream. I'm begging y'all. Trenches, tonight, y'all on display. Share the live stream. Jagabats, y'all got front row tonight. Share the live stream, people. Pashway, pocketory. We tell y'all, every day, every goddamn day in this country, it's pocketory. It's pocketory. So today, folks, today, hold on. Folks, get your popcorn and your cokes. Today, I said today. Today, what did we see? War in the PPP, Pashway, Paul Chung of the Private Sector Commission. Yeah, no, this is a PPP mouthpiece. The PSC, the Private Sector Commission. The chairman is Paul Chung. Paul Chung and having it with Clifton Bacchus of what's the name of the company? Let me get it right. Of Sleeping Hotel and Casino, right? Paul Chung and having it. So Paul Chung and the commission wrote to Clifton Bacchus. He said, Clifton, y'all are not obeying COVID-19 rules. I'm telling you. So y'all got to sip y'all popcorn and eat y'all cokes. Folks, I make a mistake there. Think y'all think that's strange. Guyanese, we different. I want y'all look, Guyanese different. So sip your popcorn and eat your cokes. This is what Paul wrote. Right? This is what Paul wrote. And Paul wrote to Ali. He wrote Clifton. He wrote to the installed president because apparently the police force can't do nothing. Apparently the COVID task force ain't got no jurisdiction, neither the army. So Paul Chung wrote directly to Irfan Ali. Paul wrote to Irfan Ali, right? We say he's the installed president. And we don't say that like that is what the UN, the US Human Rights Report out of the State Department said. He's installed, right? So this is what, folks. This is what Paul wrote to the president. The Private Sector Commission sends you the highest compliments. The highest compliments Here's story. Y'all know what you want to really was. Here's story. Sends you the highest compliment. I write on behalf of the Commission to draw to your attention a matter of growing concern to the Commission and to the business sector as a whole with regards to the enforcement of COVID-19 protocols and curfew directives, which in particular continue to be deliberately ignored with apparent impunity by the proprietor of Sleeping Hotel and Casino on Church Street. The missive goes on. It says, we have raised this matter, Mr. President, at a meeting of the COVID task force, where we are represented by Mr. Ramesh Deku in the presence of the Prime Minister, and we have been informed that directives have been given to the police on the matter. Yeah, here's story here. Here's story. We must point out, this is Paul's missive, however, that directives are obviously being ignored by Sleeping Hotel and Casino. The Private Sector Commission President has urged with some success all members of the Private Sector Commission, as well as publicly appeal to all the private sector to cooperate and comply with the curfew directives set out in the official gazette. But unfortunately, the Sleeping Hotel and Casino remains a glaring and publicly obvious exception. They ain't got time with we. My counsel has decided that the Commission cannot, in good conscience and in the public interest, continue to remain silent on the matter. And in this circumstance, I'm asking that you grant me and my executives the opportunity to meet with you and discuss this matter. Wow. Wow. So a whole commission has to meet because one businessman that owns a hotel and casino is not complying. A whole private sector commission has to meet with the president of an oil-producing republic. That is where we are, folks. That is where we are. But. Here's the story here now. Inside sources. I want to give you some space to see this. Inside sources, folks. And I want to underline that some of this is rumor, some is conjecture, right? Some came to us because of persons close to the subject matters. There is a dash of the alleged and also a sprinkle of credible sources. So we are hearing, right? Allegedly, that Clifton is closely associated with Anil. Clifton is closely associated with Anil. That is what our source are informing us. There's a close association there, and that is why he got this casino license almost as soon as he came in, right? We are also learning, people, right, allegedly, that Irfan and Jagdeo have recognized that Anil is under immense pressure given this NYPD work issue and investigation happening, right? That is what our inside sources are telling us. And they are going in for the kill to damage Anil politically. That's what our sources telling us from deep within the PPP. They want to damage Anil politically to neuter him from being able to mount a potent attack on Irfan Jagdeo. We're also hearing, folks, right, that those who know Chung, right, those who know Chung would know that Chung would not act in this manner unless he's instructed to write that letter by Jagdeo. That's what our sources are telling us. So Pashway in the PPP, right, again, instructed by Jagdeo to create a basis and public justification for shutting down of Sleeping. Finally, folks, our sources are telling us that Chung does nothing unless instructed. And folks, remember, this is the same Chung, Paul Chung, same Chung from the Guy Oil scandal. And Chung was supposed to be one of the heads that rolled in the firings, but somebody protecting Chung. We're hearing it's Jagdeo protecting Chung. Good? And lastly, folks, we are hearing that no one else has that authority to issue that instruction, right? Issue that instruction to write that letter to sleep in outside of Jackview. That is what we're hearing on the ground. Of course, we've said that all of this, some of this is our rumor, some is conjecture, some is based on persons close to the subject matter. There's a dash of the alleged in this, and there's a sprinkle of credible sources. So, folks, we're going to keep you guys updated as to where that goes. But we want to turn our attention to the man of the hour and our guests for the evening, folks. I want y'all to give a good Guyanese welcome, whether you're at home here in Guyana or in the diaspora, right? To our guests for the evening, the Right Honorable Godwin Friday, the leader of the opposition in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Dr. Friday, a very good evening to you, sir.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Mr. Duncan, good to see you again. It's been a while.
Great to see you again, Dr. Friday. You look very energetic and as though the wind is in your sails there, sir. A very good evening.
Thank you so much, and good evening to all of your viewers who are here now and will join us later on, hopefully.
Awesome. Dr. Friday, I was telling members of the public, I was telling our viewers that there is so many similarities between St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I don't think if we step out of in terms of the beauty of the island or the islands, and also the political situation there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And even though you've been on our program before, please permit me a very, very brief introduction for those persons who might not be familiar with the Honorable Dr. Godwin Friday. So, folks, our guest this evening is a politician from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and he's the current president of the New Democratic Party and the leader of the opposition since 2016. Dr. Friday and his wife and children, Nicholas and Christian, they all reside in Port Elizabeth, Beckway. His interests outside of politics include cricket, yachting, and fishing. I see the West Indies aren't, Dr. Friday.
Well, I think we get updated a little bit because my kids they're grown now, both of them in university. One's finished, the other one is in Canada studying, and I am still here. I'm in Beckway, yes, and have been involved in the politics here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines for since 2001.
Yeah,
I'm a lawyer. I've worked in Canada. I am practicing as a sole practitioner here. Unfortunately, not as much time anymore for practicing, but I am full-time basically dealing with the politics here in this country because there's so many things that need to be done. And my hobbies, I think most Caribbean people, certainly my generation, cricket number one, and then the other sports and reading and so forth, drawing. But my preoccupation right now is trying to get the politics of St. Vincent and the Grenadines back on track and the country on a course towards growth and development again. And that's not where we are headed now.
Fantastic, Dr. Friday. And for those persons who want a good sense of where Dr. Friday constituency is in St. Vincent and the Grenadines now, there's a website, there's a Facebook page called St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and they have some picturesque pictures of Beckway. Fantastic scenery there, sir. That being said, let's get right into the discussion for the evening. Dr. Friday, as we begin, the president of Haiti, Jovenel Moïse, and his wife, First Lady Martine Moïse, the president was fatally wounded in that assassination just last week. His wife sustaining gunshot wounds and is recovering. What are your thoughts this evening towards the people of Haiti as we get into our discussion?
Yes, it's a tragedy, of course, and my heart goes out first and foremost to his wife and his children and to other family members, because we are all public figures and political actors, but we are first and foremost, we have families, we are human beings, and it's a terrible loss and tragic event, and one that is reprehensible and abhorrent, that should not be a part of politics here in the Caribbean or anywhere in the world. And I extend as well my support and encouragement to the people of Haiti, and urge that the democratic process continues, and that those who are responsible, that the rule of law will take its course, and the administration of justice likewise, and that they'll be brought to justice. The people of Haiti are, I'm sure right now you hear so many things. I'm reading all of the news that I'm hearing there, and we hope that the worst fears are not realized, but that the matter will be brought um, to justice, and that economic and political stability in particular will return to Haiti, because it's really a terrible situation. It's not a model that we want for anywhere in this Caribbean or in CARICOM or anywhere in the world. So my heartfelt sympathy and condolences to his family first and foremost, and of course my best hopes for the people of Haiti.
Very well. Thanks very much, Dr. Friday. Uh, Dr. Friday, the last time you were here in the ring pelting these punches, you were battling a very historic volcanic eruption there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And one of the things we were discussing is the failure of the government to manage that situation adequately in terms of the evacuations and all
Mhm.
of that. Where are we in that process this evening?
Well, thankfully, we haven't had an eruption since the 22nd of April. I believe that was the last time that there was a violent eruption, explosive eruption, but we still have continuing activity. The scientists have told us that the activity is declining, and that is good news for us, because nobody wants to go through what we have been through with the eruptions. Of course, we can't control nature, and the first priority has to be to look after those people who have been displaced. Our concern initially, when the volcano erupted on the 9th of April, of course, was for the safety of the people who were living in the areas that were directly affected. That's the areas to the north, to make sure that they got out to safety. Of course, the evacuation order came really at the 11th hour. So people were moving while the volcano was erupting on Friday morning. And thankfully, nobody was injured or killed. And ultimately, those people most of the people got out. Luckily, as well, a lot of people had left even before the evacuation order had been given, because they saw what was happening. They made arrangements, not waiting till the last minute, and went and stayed with friends and relatives in the areas that were farther away from the volcano. The initial stages, as I told you when I was here the last time, of the excuse me, of the eruption, was that there was some tremendous chaos finding places for people to be and supplying the shelters and so forth. And a lot of people had gone, not in the shelters, but had gone to stay with friends and relatives and so forth. But there was still a responsibility of NEMO and the government more broadly to provide the necessities for those people. And there was considerable chaos in the first couple of weeks, having basic things and bedding and food and so forth, put those in place. Over time, of course, it got better. And so the basic infrastructure for supplying the needs of the people were put in place. But, still with some challenges. What has happened now is that over the course of time, many of those people they made arrangements for themselves. They're still getting support. A lot of ordinary people, private citizens and organizations pitched in to help, and this was particularly useful at the beginning, when the official channels were not yet up and running, unfortunately. But tremendous generosity from our neighbors throughout the Caribbean, our relatives and friends in the diaspora in Canada and the United States, and tremendous amount of help, and of course the people here on the ground who reached out and really lent a helping hand to our friends, our brothers and sisters from the north, who had been displaced and were going through a terrible, terrible time adjusting to living in conditions that, they had not expected. So over time, as I said, the people assisted my own organization, my New Democratic Party, through me as the leader of the opposition. We received generous donations from people locally and abroad. And of course, we set up a mechanism at my party's headquarters in Kingstown to assist those persons. And we continue to do so now. Thousands of packages we have put together, substantial packages to help those persons who had been displaced with food and basic hygiene products and so forth, and even some light items, clothing. And we continue to do so. And because we know that this is going to be a continuing challenge for the people who have been directly affected, when most of the world certainly, but many people here in St. Vincent will have turned their gaze elsewhere because there are other things that are attracting their attention. Those people who have been displaced are still going to be away from their homes. They're still, their crops would have still been destroyed. Their animals would have been destroyed or dispersed. And so their lives will still be disrupted. And I want to ensure that the focus remains on taking care of their needs. Because other people are distracted, it doesn't mean that their needs have gone away. So I want to urge that people who understand that this is a long-term process of adjusting and rebuilding, that they will continue to contribute. And certainly I do so through my New Democratic Party and the leader of the opposition members of parliament. We continue to reach out and help as much as we can. And we are grateful for the continued donations that we receive from those people who want to help and see us as the most effective way of doing so. And I tell you, I have to really, commend the people who have been helping, volunteers in my organization, basically to daily, I mean, they treat it as a job. They come 6 o'clock in the morning and they're packaging stuff until 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then they are dispatched to the people who need them. So I do commend them for all that they have done and continue to do. And I urge people not to look away simply because, so many, several months have passed and there are other things that are clamoring for attention. The people who have been displaced, many of them continue to be displaced. Situation is that the government has allowed, the scientists have advised them that it was okay for some people in what they call the orange zone, not the area closest to the volcano, but an area next closest. In most of those areas, they were allowed to go back to their communities to be able to clean up their homes and start trying to rebuild their lives. And that is an ongoing process. They've started to clean up in the red zone, that is the areas closest to the volcano, the largest village of Sandy Bay. I'm told that cleanup is going on. There are some challenges because of the amount of ash that has to be removed and, the usual problems with, who gets to do the work. Because there's a lot of work. And my position is that the people from the area should be given a chance to make a dollar as well in the cleanup effort, and that they should be allowed to provide the trucking services, irrespective of political affiliation, because there is a lot of work to be done. And so the funding that the government has received to help with the cleanup, I know the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, is out there assisting, because I spoke with the resident representative just today, and she indicated that they were assisting with the cleanup in those communities, and that they assisted in providing funding so that over 120 persons were employed in doing it. I want to see that the people in those areas are given the opportunity to work in the cleaning up of their own homes and in the public spaces and so forth, in the trucking of the ash out, so that they can also get an income through that, because that has been the biggest problem that they've encountered since the volcano has erupted.
Dr. Friday, I said to our viewers that we have this similarity between countries, and that latter bit there about who gets what and who gets what contracts sounds eerily familiar. Ralph Gonzalez. You know the man, I know the man. Lots of Guyanese know the man. The last time we were on, Mr. Gonzalez, Prime Minister Gonzalez, had told the nation that you were almost the public coffers were almost dried, and there was a teacher strike. A teacher strike, I think, was on those two fronts. Dr. Friday, where are we currently?
Well, I mean, the thing is, there has been a tremendous amount of assistance, as I said earlier, private and from public donors, from national governments, from multilateral agencies that have put a lot of funds in place to assist the people who have been affected. So the cries of empty coffers, it's really it's a matter of priority, because you have to say that the people who the funds were donated or given, or the monies were borrowed for them to assist them, that the funds should go there. And so the priority has to be to assist those persons. So, the cry of poverty in this area, in the part of the government, of not having funds, really it rings hollow, because I know that a lot of funds have been received to assist the displaced persons. The situation in the economy of the country, we know, before COVID and before the volcanic eruption, was dire, and that is not going to change now. And so the assistance that was received, that is really not so much for economic reconstruction. That is really for relief efforts for the people who have been displaced, providing them with some support income, providing them the necessities to be able to continue to live dignified lives until they can reestablish themselves in their homes as soon as possible. And that is what they want to do. But the government has a responsibility to do so. They have received funding to do it. And my job is to make sure that the money that they received goes where it is required. As I've said in the past, they should put the money where the pain is now, and not be dealing with long-term reconstruction. The time will come for that. Right now, there's an urgency, there's a need to help the people who have been directly affected, and that continues. It hasn't gotten any easier. And so that is where the funding should go. And it's a matter of prioritizing those people. And the government, I know there will never be enough money to do all the things you want, but certainly there is now funding that they have received to assist the people who have been displaced. And I urge that those funds be used for that purpose, and that they be done, again, allocated on the basis of need, not upon political partisanship, which has been, the history, the record of this government over the years, of tending to favor their own supporters and neglecting the rest. And that is something that is simply not tenable now, especially since, we have had calamity after calamity, COVID, we've had the volcanic eruption, we have had now Hurricane Elsa. The first hurricane has touched us, thankfully not as badly as we had feared. But all of these things tell us that we have to come together as a community and reach the people who are most vulnerable and provide the support that they need. And those funds have to be, as a priority, allocated in that area. And once that is done, there will be funding to meet the needs of the people who have been directly affected.
Very well, Dr. Friday. And folks, here is where things get even more interesting, much more interesting. Guyanese, listen to this. So, Dr. Friday, quite recently, you raised the matter in the House of Assembly, the National Assembly, the Parliament, as it were. It was in relation to a shooting incident in a place in St. Vincent and the Grenadines called Diamond, where a 67-year-old man was shot in his leg. The incident had implications for a member of the House, a government senator, and the deputy speaker of the House. You asked, Dr. Friday, as a member, that member be removed from the House until the investigations were complete. Strangely, you were suspended from the House. What was that about?
Yes. Well, the incident occurred on the 13th of April, and a gentleman named Mr. Cornelius John, I'm told he's in his early 60s, not 67, around 62 maybe, but was at his home, and the allegation is that there were three persons who accosted him and beat him up and shot him in the leg, and that it is alleged that those two, of the three persons, one of them was the Assistant Director of Public Prosecution, a senior public official, and the other senator, a government senator in the Parliament of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, one Ashel Morgan. And so we had, for some time, people have been basically agitating about this because it seemed like nothing was being done, that the investigation was, not going along in the normal way, that something like this would, the course that it would take. No arrests had been made for several. In fact, it took 2 weeks before the matter was actually even made public. So there was a lot of concern that the administration of justice was turning, the wheels were turning slowly, and that it may, quite frankly, be derailed. And so a lot of people became very anxious about it and wrote in the newspapers, got raising questions and so forth. And for myself, and as the leader of the opposition, again, as somebody who represents a majority in terms of the polling in last election, I felt that it was and is my responsibility as well to ensure that the rule of law and the administration of justice are upheld in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And so I added my voice to the cause for justice to be done in the case. Wherever the chips fell, they should, but that the investigation should be carried out as quickly as possible and thoroughly, and that the responsible persons would then make decisions based on the evidence, not on any other consideration. And so over time, the matter dragged and so forth. And then when we went to the Parliament now, the question was, here you have a person who is a senator, a lawmaker, who had these very serious allegations being raised at the time she hadn't been charged against her, and to be in the Parliament carrying on business as usual. It didn't seem to me to be the proper course, because in a situation like that, you have to withdraw and allow the wheel of justice to turn and the investigations to be concluded, and the decisions to be made in that respect before you can resume, at least pending the outcome of the investigation, whether you resume the Parliament or not. So I raised the matter in the Parliament with the Speaker and urged that the senator withdraw from the Parliament. And if she didn't withdraw, that actions be taken to suspend her from the Parliament pending the outcome of the investigation. Of course, I was told to take my seat, and I said I couldn't, because in all good conscience, I felt that the principles that inspire the rules of the House, that basically the context in which those rules were created, they were intended to uphold values that we in our society have come to respect and together to agree are values that we should live by. And I felt that in this situation that it was justified in my case to stand up and continue to urge that the senator be withdraw from the Parliament, or that action be taken to suspend her. And the Speaker named me under our rules, and then suspended me from the Parliament for the rest of the meeting of the House, and basically continued with the session as normal. Now, that was an exercise of our discretion in that situation. I thought that was contrary to the spirit of the rules, and the decorum and dignity of the House should have been upheld, where the member should have been asked at least to respond, and she was never asked to even answer as to whether she would withdraw or not. Subsequently, I filed a motion in the Parliament to have the matter debated as to whether the member should be suspended from the House, and pending the outcome of the investigation. But in between one sitting of the Parliament and the other, the charges were laid. And so a charge was laid against her. And then she wrote to the Speaker and said that she was withdrawing because, not of any legal or moral obligation, but because she didn't essentially want to be a distraction from the work of the House. And so that's where we stand now. She asked for leave for 1 month in the first instance, and the Speaker granted it. But as it is now, it's still an unsettled situation, because if you voluntarily leave the House, then you can come back at any time, because it's your choice as to whether you go or not. And certainly that is a situation that still makes the circumstances unstable, and we will have to wait and see what happens, because I am not going to certainly allow for the matter to continue where it's business as usual in the House if the senator were to return and the charges had been laid and still not resolved. That would simply send the wrong message to the people in this country, because I was standing up there because I believe the majority of the people, vast majority of the people in the country, and based on what I heard after my suspension, what people called me or met me in the streets and talked to me and so on, that they were in support of the position. They thought it was the right thing to do. And certainly that principle will continue to uphold in the parliament should the occasion arise again.
Yeah. Dr. Friday, talking about circumstances and the vast majority of people, there have been widespread protests in Kingston, of all places, concerning several things. The mother of all protests seemed to have happened last Tuesday, and from the reports that I have, they suggest, for instance, that the issues highlighted were to do with the crime rate currently, unemployment currently, the lack of justice, among other issues. Help us to understand what is happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Well, the protest action, I am somebody who believe that the people, like for us in the parliament, people elect us every 5 years thereabouts and send us to the parliament to represent them. But that doesn't mean that they've given away their democratic rights. They basically said, listen, here's this ticket, you go in there and represent me. But I still reserve the right to exercise my own democratic rights and fulfill my obligations myself. And that is required when people, it happens when people go out on the street and say, listen, there are things that are happening that I am not going to leave it up to my representative, and I'm not going to leave it up to the parliament. I am going to come to the streets, and I'm going to bring this message loud and clear that there are things that are happening in this country that are beyond the pale, that I have to stand up and speak. And that is what they did on Tuesday. It started really with the protest action that was started by other organizations that originated in the incident with the shooting of Cornelius John, and the way in which the wheels of justice, as I recounted earlier, were rolling so slowly. And so people wanted to come out and say, listen, we have an eye on this thing. We're keeping an eye on this thing. Make sure that this is not swept under the rug. We had justice must be done. And the slogan was, justice for all. And so this started. And of course, as the parliament came, I added my the organization, the New Democratic Party, which is the largest mass organization in the country, to the voice, and saying that we will also call our supporters out on the streets on the day of the parliament on Tuesday last week, and also on Thursday, to add their direct voices. So even though we were in the parliament representing them, they were out on the street representing themselves as well. And I see that as a very healthy sign of our democracy, reasserting itself, where people are standing up and speaking out and doing it in a vigorous way, and not to be intimidated. On Tuesday, the police were out in full force, and there was an attitude that somehow the protesters were there and that they shouldn't be there, and there was this attitude of wanting to suppress and to intimidate. But the people were not intimidated. And so on Thursday, when we came back, there was a different attitude in the police, that they seemed to be, some of them, most of them at least, seeming to be less aggressive. But at the same time, the demonstrators, the people who were there, were not going to be in any way intimidated or back down from whatever show of force there was. There were all kinds of rumors there were going to be, show of force, that there were tear gas, guns and so forth being readied, and all of this stuff, and shields and batons. But all of that didn't deter the people. They came out on the street, and I'm very grateful for them and thankful. And I'm proud of the people, the way they stood up. And I urge them to continue to do so. Never surrender that democratic impulse that is within the heart of every Vincentian, so that when it beats strongly, you got to rise to the occasion and come out on the street and represent yourself out there. And so on the 29th, we have Parliament again, and I have issued a call on my radio program today to the people to be there again, because we are going to assist them to come out. Come and make your voices heard, because there are too many things that are going wrong in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have an economy that barely functions. We have the administration of justice that has been brought into serious question. We have the homicide rate has We had in St. Vincent and Grenadine population 110,000 people. You had 22 homicides already in the past 4 weeks. There seem to be one or two every week, and this is something that was really worrying for everybody. And we have to stand up and say enough is enough. Things are the ship of state has gone off the rails, and we are going to put our shoulders to the wheel and put it back on. And I urge them to continue to do so. I encourage it. I welcome it. I see it. I mean, it puts it makes me feel that people really are standing up for themselves, and that politicians in a democracy must always fear the people, not the other way around. And so when they come out, it's a good thing.
And Dr. Friday, in the course of that protest last Tuesday, it was reported that a senior policeman said to shoot any protester who threw down the barriers. Were those political, orders that he was carrying out and issuing?
Well, I don't know where he got the orders from, but I mean, those orders, if he got orders or he just made them up himself, they were crazy and foolish, because anybody who, you're officer once, but you are a civilian twice. And, this person, when they say things like that, they're basically breaking their bond between themselves and the people, and the police are there to serve and protect. Sometimes they seem to forget that. They think that they're only there to serve and protect the people who are occupying high offices in government and are the executive of government. But they're there to serve and protect everybody. So that statement, yes, it was reported to me, and that is just inflammatory and totally has no place in the kind of action and protest that you saw on the streets of Kingstown on Tuesday and Thursday. There is no place for that anywhere in our country, and certainly any officer who says that should be reprimanded. And that was not the only instance of situation where you have officers being the police acting improperly. There was a case that I mentioned in the Parliament on Thursday, where an officer, saw two junior officers basically pushing a female protester in a way that endangered her, that could have injured her, because if she had fallen in the gutter, she could have been injured. And he intervened and told him that's not the way to do it. I'm told that he was then, reprimanded by the commissioner of police, his mother's politics that she called in on our radio station was brought into it, and the fact that he comes from the community here in Becker was brought into it, as if to say that the officer couldn't, function properly. So if this is really something that happens, that is borne out entirely, then that is something that it never should happen. And then in the end of it, which gives credence to the story, is that the officer himself was transferred from the SSU, which is Special Service Unit, to walk the beat and patrol. And I asked, almost ironically, I said, is that a promotion? And obviously, somebody who knows how the police service works just laughed. He said, no, it's not. So what it meant is that the officer was essentially being, reprimanded or demoted in a sense, because he was sent to do beat and patrol duty rather than working with the SSU, because he corrected what he thought in his judgment the junior officers in the way they were treating the protesters. But I must say, on Thursday, the police, they came with a different attitude, and I hope that most of them, the rank and file in particular, understand that their duty is there to protect not just those persons who are in government, but all of the people, the protesters who came out on the streets, because amongst them, there would have been friends and relatives and family members of many people on the police service. And they're there to do their duty for all the citizens of this country. For every one person who was there, I am sure that they were representing many other persons who would have liked to be there, but for whatever reason, they've decided that they shouldn't be. And I'm urging those same people who had said that they shouldn't be there, or they couldn't be there last Tuesday and Thursday, it's their turn on the 29th when the Parliament resumes and the protest resumes.
Yeah, and as we come to program time, Dr. Friday, as we talk about those who might come out at the next sitting, there's a group called Rise. I think is her here.
Rise Haruna.
Yeah. They have been leading a spate of protest activity. Is there any significance to that group and the protest activities?
Well, what is significant is that our politics in St. Vincent has become one where civil society has been completely gutted. You've come to a point now where, any political action, any kind of action against the government really has to be taken just by the political party. And while that is a task that I take on as the leader of the party, and will do my duty and will do it, to the best of my ability. What happens when political parties stand up and in the first instance is that often you basically lose half of the people, because the politics here, it is so divided, so partisan, that if the NDP raises something, that whether it's right or wrong, many people will just simply say, well, it's NDP. If I go out there, the other side would think I'm supporting the NDP, and so they stay at home, not recognizing that, in fact, that they should treat the issue itself as the important matter, not the fact that it is the NDP who has raised the hue and cry about it. But in any event, when Rise Iruna, and there's another group called Frontline. There are other organizations. There are the lawyers who have written in the paper and so forth. The public service union leaders have also spoken out and written about it. The Christian Council, in a very lukewarm letter, but in any event said that they're noticing what is going on. This is with respect to the shooting, the allegations of the shooting incident with Mr. Cornelius John. But these are things that brings out more people, and the more people who take an interest, not just leaving it up to the politicians, although we will, of course, gladly do our part, and we are doing so. And Rise Arona is they are organizing a protest again on Thursday, and I encourage every Vincentian who is concerned about the state of the country to support it and to be there. And if they can't go, to send somebody. And when we add our voices, and we organize for the 29th to have a larger demonstration, that more people will be there. But the actions continue, and I welcome any civil society organizations or individuals who raise their voices and have taken on particular issues that they are promoting particularly. For us, we have a broad brush. We deal with all kinds of challenges that we have in the country: the crime rate, the economic situations, the administration of justice, the rule of law, corruption. All of those things are and the absence of jobs, especially for our young people. All of those things are priorities for us as a political party. And then when other groups add their voices and basically focus on other issues, or one or two of those issues, it helps to magnify them and helps us in our cause as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Finally, Dr. Friday, you have another mass protest coming up on the 29th. A lot of persons seem to love the challenge put up the last mass protest that you had. And yet you have some of your supporters who might be saying that the leader of the opposition, the Honorable Dr. Friday, isn't doing enough to confront the Ralph Gonsalves administration. What do you say to those people?
Well, I mean, look, opposition is, we are in opposition. So in a sense, you have, until you form government, there's always more you can do. And I am urging those people to help me to do it. And I'm willing to do more, because I want to change the government of this country, because I believe I can do a better job, and that the New Democratic Party will do a better job in government. So help me to get the job done. I will do all that I can, and I will continue to push the government and to push our ideas forward, and until we finally achieve our objective of changing the government, there is more that should be done and more that will be done.
Awesome. Dr. Godwin Friday, I want to thank you for spending this time with us in the ring. It's a privilege and an education having you on the program always. And for folks, this is Dr. Godwin Friday, the Right Honorable Dr. Godwin Friday. He's one of the chief politicians there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and the current president of the New Democratic Party, leader of the opposition. Thank you very much, Dr. Friday, for spending this time.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me on, and just let me know when again, and I'll be there for your viewers. And thank you everyone for listening, for taking the time, spending the time with us here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Great. Folks, it is always, as I said, it is always an education having Dr. Friday on, bringing you up to date with all of the happenings there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we are going to have him back definitely as things move along on the ground. We want to thank all of you guys for spending this time with us. We hope that you guys start to share the live stream. We've come away from the frontal nature of our usual program to bring you other things that are happening to in the region. In your region, we are all Caribbean citizens. So what happens in Haiti, the largest democracy in the Caribbean, concerns us. The largest democracy in CARICOM. CARICOM has about 24 million people, 24 million residents. In this community we call CARICOM, 11 million come from Haiti. 11 million of that 24 million comes from Haiti. And so what happens in Haiti concerns us. They are our brothers and our sisters. What happens in St. Vincent and the Grenadines concerns us. They are our brothers and our sisters. And what happens in each and every one of the other countries that make up CARICOM also should concern us. And so we're broadening your horizons here in the ring. We want to thank you guys for spending this time with us. Rose Chappelle and Lily McGarrell, Samora Williams, and all of you other folks, Marsha Glasgow, Colleen Isaacs, all of you guys, thanks for spending this time with us. Share the live stream, folks. Those of you who are coming back to watch, share the live stream as well. And thank you very, very much, Ringsiders, for all of your support. Thank you. Stay safe, guys. Continue to social distance, wear your mask, sanitize, and practice all of the other COVID-19 protocols that are there for your health and your safety. Don't let the private sector commission have a right, y'all. The way to right to the sleep-in, folks. Stay safe, guys. Stay safe.